Big wheel here of the kickoff and the score, and now the African Nations Championship, better known as CHAN, enters day 5 today with 2 matches on the score. That's Mauritania against Tanzania late at 8 o'clock. But of course, our first game has kicked off between Burkina Faso versus the CAR. Or the Central African Republic. But of course, the big attention here in Nairobi is that Harambee Stars will be in action tomorrow against Angola as they chase their second win of this tournament, while Angola will be seeking to bounce back, having lost their first game to Morocco on Sunday. What are the probable lineups? What are the tweaks and the plans of the Harambee Stars head coach Benny McCarthy as the Stars chase a second win to solidify their position in Group A? Remember already, Morocco are top of the group, having beaten Angola by 2-0. Stars are second in the pool by virtue of having scored a goal less than Morocco. Of course, Angola will be here. We'll be chasing a win to stay in touch in the competition, having lost the opening game. So, Harambee Stars coach Benny McCarthy had a press conference this morning, whereby he talked about their lead striker, Masoud Juma, not being able to play this game because of a slight knock. So, most likely, we are looking at a replacement of either Mushiri of Ulinzi to come in to the team as on the left wing, and then Ryan Ogam of Tusker, who was the top goal scorer in the Kenya Premier League, starting as the striker. Those are one of the tweaks which are maybe being considered for this game, as Harambee Stars will probably start with the same team which started against the DRC on Sunday. Maybe play a 5-3-2 and look at maybe try and beating the Angolas with a possession based of football, then very fast on the wings, and maybe bring in some crosses into the box where Ogam can score. So it's going to be a tactical matchup because Angola play with a 4-2-3-1 formation. They have been to CHAN 4 times. Their best position was runners-up in 2011. And Stars will know this will be a totally different game from the game they had against the DRC. I guess Angola are going to come out hard. They're going to come out tough. They'll most likely, of course, will be looking to get an early goal to unsettle Stars, because from the game we saw against Morocco, Angola were in it for the better part of that game against Morocco. They looked very solid, very good, and then they were hit with a sucker punch of a goal before halftime. They tried to come back in the second half because I thought the Moroccans probably were struggling with the altitude of Nyayo Stadium and Nairobi. So I think the key for Angola will be maybe get an early goal, unsettle Stars, and maybe try and play on the counter-attack. So, what do Harambee Stars need to do differently? Now, if you watch the game against the DRC, we got off to a very slow start. The DRC were comfortable in possession. They were attacking the flank where Sakari was playing. So, we need to be wary of that. They were very strong in the set pieces. I thought DRC had 2-3 headers from corners and set pieces, which on another day, probably, they could have scored. So Harambee Stars will have to be very careful in set pieces. Free kicks and corners, they'll really have to man mark. And I don't think Benny McCarthy is going for a zonal marking. He'll really have to man mark the Angolan players when it comes to set pieces. But just generally, I think Harambee Stars will have to start better. They'll have to take the game on the front foot, take the game away from Angola. Probably, if I was them, get that early goal to settle you in, then build play from there. Of course, once again, I think for me, the key man will have to be our goal scorer, Austin Odhiambo, who I thought was fantastic in the match against the DRC, especially in those tight spaces. He looked very comfortable. He was sprint the passes forward. He looked assured on the ball. He looked very comfortable. And now I think probably he'll be the man to dictate the tempo for Harambee Stars in that midfield alongside Alpha Onyango and Mansour. So, Harambee Stars will have to be on the front foot, try and get an early goal, and of course, put pressure on Angola. And I think also our centre backs, that's Omija and Owino will have to be more disciplined. They will have to be more authoritative in how they command the box, because I thought they allowed DRC a lot of leeway in terms of set pieces and getting into that final box. They'll have to be more authoritative, command the box, lead the line, look at your defenders in how they are positioned, especially your left backs and your right back. Make sure that Angola don't get a front or a foothold into this game. It's going to be a tight game. Remember, a win for Harambee Stars takes them closer to the last 8, to the quarterfinals, for a tournament which we are taking part for the very first time. Remember, the likes of Angola, DRC, Morocco, Zambia, all the teams in our group have been to Chan not only once, but they've been there twice, 3 times, even 4 times. We are making our debut in this tournament, and I believe we need to get a good start. We need to start that match against Angola very strongly, get an early goal, then build pressure, control the play on the counter attack. Let's see what Angola will do, because an early goal probably will confuse the Angolans, and maybe it could be a hammer blow for them, because they need a win to stay in this competition. Now, from yesterday, the defending champions Senegal beat Nigeria by 1-0. A well-taken goal, though I thought the Nigerian defense, I think, went to sleep in that game. So Senegal, they're up and running. They already have a point. They have the big 3 points from that game, because it's a derby between two West African heavyweights, 2 West African big nations in that pool. And then in the other game, Congo drew 1-1 with Sudan. So as you can see, the tournament is coming into life. We've got some interesting results. For Harambee Stars, I think the key for them will be to make sure that they top this group. They host all their matches at the Moi International Sports Center at Kasarani. You don't have a position whereby Harambee Stars finish second in their group, meaning that they have to travel all the way to Dar es Salaam to play their last 8 match. The key for Harambee Stars as a host nation is to make sure that we top our group, we win our matches, so that we can play the quarterfinal and the semi, and maybe, who knows, the final here at Kasarani. Now, this game tomorrow will kick off at 7 p.m. Our next game against Morocco, which will be on Sunday, August 10th, will kick off at 3 p.m. And then our final game against Zambia will kick off at 3 p.m. So, of the 4 matches, 3 are at 3 p.m. kickoffs. Only 1 will be at 7 p.m. And then also tomorrow at Nyayo Stadium, Zambia, who arrived in the country on Sunday, will be playing the DRC. So for the DRC, they need to bounce back and win this game. For Zambia, it will be their first game of the championship. Can they get off to a good start and win this game? It will be a very interesting game. You could say 2 evenly matched sides, 2 powerhouses of African football who both won the Africa Nations Cup before. Will be competing before the big game tomorrow between the Harambee Stars and the Palancas Negras, as they are fondly known in the Portuguese language, tomorrow at 7 p.m. So you don't want to miss this game. Let's rally all Stars fans to show up in their numbers. I know it's a midweek game. People have gone to work and everything, but it's a midweek game, and of course at 7 p.m. Everyone will have finished their work. People to turn up early, to get your seat early, and to watch Harambee Stars against Angola at 7 p.m. tomorrow at Kasarani Stadium.